It started one morning, as ordinary as any other. The sun had just risen, its light filtering through the blinds in soft gold lines that striped across the floor. I was half awake, groggy, clutching a cup of coffee as I leaned against the counter. That's when I saw it. My shadow, stretched long on the tiled kitchen floor, lifting its hand before I did. At first I laughed. Maybe the light was tricking me, an illusion of movement from the flickering bulb above, or a reflection from the window. I waved, and my shadow followed, but a heartbeat too late. The delay was subtle, almost playful. I smirked at my own paranoia and carried on with my morning routine. But as the day went on, the unease lingered. Every time I glanced at my shadow, it seemed slightly off. Its posture slouched differently. Its edges looked darker, thicker. I told myself it was just fatigue. I hadn't been sleeping much lately. Too many late nights, too many deadlines. Shadows do strange things when your mind starts to blur. That night, as I brushed my teeth, I noticed something worse. The mirror behind me reflected both my face and the shadow cast on the wall. But when I leaned forward to spit into the sink, my shadow didn't move. It stayed frozen, its head still tilted upright, watching me. My reflection obeyed. The shadow didn't. I stood still, staring at it. Then slowly, it tilted its head. Not to mirror me, but to look directly at my reflection's eyes. I turned off the light. For a second, everything went black, but not completely. There was something else. Something darker than the dark itself, shifting along the wall. A shape without light, without outline, gliding across the plaster. It moved like smoke, or water, or thought. When I turned the light back on, everything was normal again, except for my heart. It was racing, pounding so loudly I thought the neighbors could hear. That night, I barely slept. Every time I shut my eyes, I felt a weight on the bed beside me, like a body lying there, unmoving, yet aware. I told myself it was just my imagination, but imagination doesn't breathe, and it doesn't make the sheets dip just slightly, where something invisible rests. By morning, I was trembling with exhaustion. I dragged myself out of bed, went to the bathroom, and froze. My shadow was facing the wrong direction. The light from the window was behind me, but my shadow was in front, standing tall against the mirror, looking right at me. Its outline was sharper now, clearer, like it had been practicing how to separate itself. Its arms hung at its sides, its head cocked at a gentle, curious angle, like it was studying me. I backed away slowly, barely breathing. When I moved, it didn't follow. It stayed fixed to the wall, still facing me, even as I left the room. From that day, things got worse. Sometimes I'd catch it doing things before I did, picking up a cup before my hand even twitched, tilting its head when I wasn't thinking of moving at all. I'd try to ignore it, but the harder I tried, the more it tested the limits, stepping away from me by a few inches, then a few feet, always staying just barely connected, like a tether stretching thin. One evening, I decided to test it. I stood in the living room as the sun set, the light spilling long shadows across the carpet. I raised my right arm. It lifted its left. I lifted my left arm. It stayed still. My breath caught. I spun around quickly, but the shadow didn't move at all. It stood still, arms down, head tilted again, watching. "Stop!" I whispered, my voice shaking. The shadow didn't obey. It only leaned forward, as though it was listening more closely. Then, impossibly, it took a step toward me. The darkness deepened where its foot should have fallen, spreading like ink, swallowing the light from the floor. The air grew cold. My breath misted. I turned and fled, slamming the light switch off as I left the room. But in the flash of darkness, I saw it again. A silhouette rising from the wall, no longer flat, but forming depth. like something was pushing out of a thin layer of reality. I slept with the lights on that night, but it didn't matter. At 3:12 a.m., I woke to the feeling of someone breathing beside me again. This time, I didn't dare open my eyes. I lay perfectly still, pretending to sleep, while the air next to me shifted. Slow, deliberate, in rhythm with something that wasn't my lungs. The bed dipped slightly, then, softly, it whispered. It wasn't a voice. Not really. It was the sound of breath forming words that weren't quite human, a murmur from inside the walls. But I understood it. It said, "You're facing the wrong way." I jolted upright, gasping. The room was empty, but on the far wall, illuminated by the nightlight, my shadow stood. Not lying flat like it should, but upright, facing the bed. Its hands were at its sides, and its head was tilted just slightly, exactly as it had been before. I moved. It didn't. I whispered, "What do you want?" No answer, but slowly its arm lifted, the shadow hand pointing toward the window, toward the darkness outside. I looked out. There, on the lawn, under the faint glow of the street lamp, was another shadow. Mine again, stretched impossibly long across the grass, though there was no light behind me to cast it. And it was walking toward the house. That's when I realized the thing inside my home wasn't my shadow anymore. The real one was still outside, trying to get in. I backed away from the window, trembling. The one on the wall began to move, its shape rippling like it was laughing without sound. Then, as I turned toward the door, it lunged. I don't remember what happened next. Only the sensation of falling through something cold and formless, a weight pressing me down. When I woke up, it was morning. The light streamed in. Everything looked normal, except the mirror. In the reflection, I saw myself, standing there, eyes wide, breathing hard. But behind me, my shadow didn't match. It was smiling. And when I blinked, it didn't. It just kept smiling. That was 3 days ago. Now, every night, it lies beside me, perfectly still. I can feel its presence. Heavy, silent, patient. Every morning, when I wake, my shadow faces the wrong direction again, staring straight at me. Sometimes I think I see its lips move, forming silent words. Sometimes I think I understand what it's saying. And sometimes, when I'm too tired to tell the difference between the dark and my thoughts, I start to wonder which one of us is the reflection and which one is real.